This video is kindly sponsored by Squarespace. Hey guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. Today we are going to get into my June wrap up. I read 14 books in my birthday month, the month of June, and I'm so excited to tell you about all of them because I had such a great reading month. Honestly, I feel like I haven't had this good of a reading month in so long. I was absolutely addicted to my Kindle. I read a few really good books on audio. I read a couple really good non-fictions, some general fiction, some literary fiction, a lot of good ass thrillers and everything in between. So come along with me as I let you know about every single book that I read this month. But before we get into the books, I do want to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Squarespace. If you've never heard of Squarespace before, basically they help you from the synthesis of the idea for your website through the entire design process into launching your website and helping you maintain relationships with customers and find potential new customers. And you can do all of that with little to no experience at all. The way that you design your Squarespace website is super straightforward. It's all intuitive with easy drag and drop tools. You can choose the color, the font, and the template of your website. Their AI templates actually make things so seamless and easy. You don't have to think about it at all. It helps you put every single piece together. And as a business owner myself, that kind of simplification is so nice. At least there is one part of the process that is taken care of for me. If I can delegate to Squarespace, I am happy. Squarespace also designs their websites with SEO in mind. So not only is your website going to look beautiful, but it's also going to be served to people and people will actually see your beautiful website because of the search engine optimization. The ideal customer for you will run across your site. You can also add a ton of helpful widgets depending on what you need on your website. I love the appointment scheduler and services tabs because obviously I run a therapy practice, but you can also run a shop, take online donations and orders, among an entire host of other widgets. So when you are ready to launch your website, whether you are first starting your business or ready to scale, do it with Squarespace. You can even get some money off when you use my link down below. I will put my code and link here so you can get 10% off when you use Squarespace. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and now let's go ahead and get into my June wrap up. As always, we will start with my stats. I am such a stat girl, we all know this. As I mentioned, I read a total of 14 books in June, and that was 4,244 pages over the course of the month. My mood breakdown is all over the map. I don't think I've ever had this much of a rainbow on my mood chart. As I mentioned at the top of the video, I was reading from a lot of varying genres, so I'm just happy to see this little rainbow here. 9 of the books that I read this month were fast-paced, and 5 of them were medium-paced. I read 6 books under 300 pages and the rest of them were between 300 and 500. Like I mentioned, I did read 2 nonfiction books and the rest of the 12 were fiction. Here is my genre breakdown. As you can see, I read mostly mystery thrillers, but I also had quite a few psychological in there. And across my 14 reviews, I had an average rating of a 4.05 out of 5 stars. I rarely have a monthly average that exceeds 4 stars, so this is so good, and it just speaks to how amazing my reading month was. I did have 1 2-star book, which we'll get into, but I also had a 3.5, 7 4 stars, 3 4.5 stars, a 4.75 star because I'm annoying, and 1 crown jewel 5-star book. And this is how I read those pages throughout the month. Honestly, I did not do a ton of reading during the weeks, but look at my weekends. Like, I was reading an insane amount of books every weekend. But now let's go ahead and get into the actual reviews of the books that I read in June. As we do every month, we're going to be starting out with my lowest rated book and working working our way up to my favorite book of the month. The lowest rated book that I read in June was Hot Air, and this is a literary fiction book. It's described as really weird, kind of a hot mess, kind of uncomfortable, and I ended up giving it only 2 stars. When I first started this book, it was really messy and I was just eating it up. It was kind of like unlikable characters and a ton of drama. Basically, we are following this man and he's on a first date with this woman that he's trying to impress. The guy is Johnny and the girl is Joni, and it's like a cute little bit that they're doing back and forth, and they are just having their little date at his house. Their kids are playing together. They are eating by the pool. It's supposed to be very romantic. Both of them are trying to get back out there, and the date goes awry when a billionaire crashes his hot air balloon into the pool in this man's backyard. And the billionaire's name is Jonathan and his wife is Julia, and so everyone gets a huge kick out of this and they decide to basically just join in the first date. Can you imagine? It is your first date as a single mom, back on the scene, you're seeing this guy, and then boom, Elon Musk and his weird wife crash your date and you turn into swingers? What in the hell is actually going on? Like, when I say this plot of this book out loud, I'm like, what in the fuck did I just read? So it kind of had a setup for a really zany, weird literary fiction like I like. The problem was that the characters went nowhere. There was really no plot and the characters were the ones driving the story, and they had almost no arc. Like, they were just really unlikable, every single one of them, all the way through. It was really hard to connect to them and I didn't really see much growth from them, so I was left wondering, what's the point? Yes, the crazy antics were super entertaining and I don't think the writing was bad at all. However, I had to give it 2 stars because it just kind of did nothing for me. The 3.5 star book that I read in June was The Serial Killer Support Group by Saratoga Schaefer. I read this one in my new release thriller vlog that came out in June. If you missed it, I'll link it up above and down below. I read 4 amazing new release thrillers in that video and I had so much fun filming it. And in this book, we're following a girl whose sister was murdered. The only detail the police will share with her is that the murderer was a serial killer and they're working on catching the killer. She finds out that there is a group of serial killers that meet in a group therapy type of way every single week. So she decides to disguise herself as a female serial killer in order to bust her way into the group and narrow down the serial killer that killed her sister so she can exact her revenge. However, as she starts to feel into this serial killer persona, it maybe gets a little too real for her and this book goes completely off the rails. I did enjoy this thriller. I liked the twist at the end and it was entertaining all the way through. However, my main gripe was that this is such a ridiculous plot and it wasn't nearly as fun and campy as it sounds. Like, with this plot, you could go so over the top and have so much fun with it, and I just wasn't having as much fun as I wanted to. It was kind of like serious and trying to be really like grave, like, oh my god, like this is the situation. And I'm like, this girl is putting on a wig to bust into a room of serial killers who are all trying to support each other through their like grief of being a serial killer. Like, this is ridiculous. This should be funny. So I did enjoy my reading experience of this thriller, but it was just a little annoying to me that it wasn't as fun as it should have been, in my opinion. I still recommend it, but that is why I had to knock off a half star. If it had that fun factor, this would have been a solid 4 star easily. Next up, let's get through all of my 4-star books. Half of the books that I read this month were 4-star, solid, amazing recommendations, so I cannot wait to gush about these for you guys. The first one is a nonfiction, and that is The Defining Decade: Why Your 20s Matter and How to Make the Most of Them by Meg J. This was actually a reread for me. I read this book in grad school, and I wanted to revisit it around my birthday. I keep mentioning June was my birthday month, and I turned 27, and so so I thought it was a good time to revisit what I read in this book in grad school and synthesize it from a new lens, because when I read it for the first time, I believe I was 21, so I wasn't that deep into my 20s, but now that I'm 27, a lot of the pieces in here rang true on a more personal level than they did the first time around. This book has sections on work life, love life, and your personal being in the brain and the body. And I honestly take a lot away from this. It's written by a therapist, and she talks about case examples of people that she's seen in their 20s. They're really relatable cases, and they work through really stuck points that I think a lot of people in their 20s deal with. She talks about why the 20s are the most important decade of your life and how you can make the most of them. She gives you really practical advice, but she also prompts you to look inward. The only reason why I knocked off a star from this book is I think the last section on the brain and the body is a little bit half-baked. There's no trauma-informed lens, and I think that that does a disservice to people who might be reading this book. I can definitely see how some people might read this and without considering a trauma component might feel a little bit shamed or further stuck. So I think it's valuable, but also don't take it as Bible. Remember that there are a lot of other factors that aren't talked about in this book that might be really relevant for you if you are in your 20s. But also, that being said, the hard truths in here are valid. All right, the rest of my 4-star books are pretty much they are all 4-star solid thriller recommendations. So the next section of this video is basically gonna be a thriller recommendation video. You're welcome, because I highly recommend all of these. Let's start out with The Lifeguards. Oh my gosh, I loved this book so much. The atmosphere of this thriller was possibly my favorite thriller atmosphere I've ever read from. It's set in Austin, Texas, which is where I live, and if you are wondering about how it feels to live in Austin, this book captures it to a T. You can tell the author is from here, or at least has lived here for a significant period of time, because it just captures the spirit of Austin. In The Lifeguards, we are following 3 moms who are all best friends, and they all have their little kids and they all run around together, but now they are like 15, 16 years old, and they're getting into things, including a dead body. Their group of boys find a dead woman washed up on the shore of the river, and they confess to their moms, and their moms are like high in society. They live in the Zilker neighborhood, and if you know anything about Austin, then you know that those are the rich people. So they don't want their reputations or their boys at risk at all, and they swiftly decide to cover up what has happened. But along the way, we are trying to parse out what actually did happen, and along the way, we are learning about all these women and their secrets and their lies and their husbands and their scandals, and it is just juicy and scandalous, but at the same time, like, so real, especially because this took place in Austin. I could just imagine this exact scenario playing out. I also loved the multimedia pieces in this book. Like every other chapter, we got a news report or some texts or emails or something, and it just felt like putting together the pieces of the mystery. I loved it so much. This was a great pool read and a really surprising, really solid mystery. Next up, I have The Last One Out by Steph Nelson, which I also gave 4 stars in June. I read this one also in my new release thriller vlog, and in this book, we are following the sole survivor of a massacre. 3 girls went camping in the woods in the 90s, and 2 of them got slashed to bits. The other one was kidnapped. We are following a dual plot line of what happened to her after her kidnapping and her cousin years and years later, who is still on the hunt to find out what happened to her. Please do not read any more into the synopsis than that. I think the synopsis of this book gives away way too much, and you will be so much more surprised and enjoy it a lot more if you just know that going in. It's really fast-paced, really twisty, really dark, but it's also handling the dark, grisly content really well. It's not too triggering, and there's not a ton of on-page violence. I think she captured that balance really well. I love Steph Nelson's writing writing style and the way that she crafts female characters in a way that even when they are a little bit questionable or unlikable, we want to root for them. The pacing was great all the way through. The twists shook me. I really love it. I think it's just another solid thriller. Another one that I read on Kindle Unlimited, I forgot I did read the last one out on Kindle Unlimited, but another one I found on there was The Business Trip by Jessie Garcia. Oh my god, was this so fun and entertaining. I ate this book up. This was like classic thriller status. This book is told in 3 or 4 sections, and in every section we are following a different subset of people that are possibly connected to the disappearance of these 2 women. In the very first chapter, we follow a woman who is trying to escape her abusive boyfriend, and she is sneaking out of the house to get on a flight. On that same flight is a woman who is on her way to a business trip. Shortly after this flight, both of the women go missing, and we are trying to figure out what happened to them. This book is crafted so well. Every single chapter drops a perfect little puzzle piece for you to put together. Every other chapter carries a weird, wild twist. Every single character, like, you just know exactly who they are, and so many of them are so unlikable, especially the men. You just want to see them get their comeuppance the entire book. And the last chapter literally slayed me. The epilogue was amazing. This is just a solid classic thriller. I think it'd be so fun to read on an airplane too, because quite a lot of the book takes place in airports and planes and the different flights and all of that. It's twisty. It's really easy to read. I would call it unputdownable. It has engrossing characters and a solid plot. Like, what is there to not like about The Business Trip? I think it's so good, and I'm gonna be recommending it probably for years to come. Yet another KU thriller that I gave 4 stars in June was The Ex-Wives Club by Sally Hepworth. Y'all know I love Sally Hepworth. I just adore her writing style. She has this really quick, clever way of writing that I just admire so much. And this is a novella in the Alibi series. If you remember on KU, they had like a creature feature series a couple years ago, and a bunch of horror authors wrote little creature feature stories. This is kind of like that, but it's a murder mystery collection with a bunch of thriller authors, and Sally Hepworth's addition to the Alibi series is The Ex-Wives Club, where a chef, a celebrity chef, is murdered and put in his own walk-in freezer, and it just so happens that on the night of his murder, his 3 ex-wives were in the restaurant all having dinner together. So they are all suspects. And we are just sitting in on the interviews, listening to the pieces that played out that night of his murder and trying to figure out who done it. It's a very straightforward who done it, but it is so well done. The atmosphere of this like fancy restaurant is so good. Every single character, even though it's a quick little novella, they're crafted so well. The twists were great. The atmosphere was great. She has that like signature clever writing style. I was obsessed with this book. I also read it in my video for my queens on Patreon in June. I did like a little daily vlog, and I read this book when I took myself out to a solo dinner, and like being at a fancy dinner by myself and just sitting there and reading this little novella that took place at a fancy restaurant, it was just like the fantasy, and it was like the best day ever. I freaking love that vlog. And I think this will be my last KU thriller that I have to talk about in this video, but I also gave 4 stars to the new Lucinda Berry book, which is 1 in 4. And this takes place on a reality show. Basically, all of these old washed up celebrities are now addicts, and they put them all on a reality show because that's not a recipe for disaster. They are all getting sober and doing group therapy together on TV. You are put in the middle of the action, like page 1, as one of these contestants gets murdered. And we are following the therapist who is in charge of the group. She comes under suspicion for the murder very quickly, and we are trying to suss out, did she do it? What is going on with the production crew? What is going on with the cast? Basically, what nefarious activity on this reality show led to this girl's murder? It is pure Lucinda Berry from start to end. It is psychological, it is suspenseful, it is fast paced, and it is dark and grisly. please, 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 before you read this book, look at trigger warnings. It has a lot of dark material in there. I thought it was really well done and really entertaining. However, I will say the reality TV element was probably a significant part of the story for the first half of the book. The second half of the book, the show completely falls apart, and all I really want is a reality TV book that actually follows through with the plot being the episodes of the reality TV show. There's so many thrillers that are like, oh, this is a reality TV show, and it's only that for the first half. Please, somebody, give me a book that does that right the entire time through. So that was a little bit annoying, but I did really like the twist, and this was also my Pretty Girl Book Club pick for June, so we will be discussing this next week. If you want to join us for the live discussion and some reading sprints, you can always do that by joining my Patreon, which is linked down below in every single video. And the last 4-star book that I read in June was The Summer I Ate the Rich, and this one is a YA, or more like new adult book, because our main character is going into college, and then she goes through like her first year of college part of way through the book, and her mom are immigrants to the United States. They came from Haiti, and her mom works for a really wealthy family, like a billionaire status family. In the first few chapters, the daughter witnesses a murder in the family on the grounds. She tells her mom, and her mom is like, listen girl, we cannot get involved in this. These people are wealthy. They have the power to end our livelihood. Let's not. But this just is not sitting right with our main little girly. So we are doing the murder investigation to see exactly what is going on behind this wealthy family and the killings that are happening around them. And we are also following our main character, who has a little catering business that she started, and her special ingredient that she's feeding all these rich people that she's catering events for is, you guessed it, other rich people. So she is quite literally eating the rich. It is a immigrant story. It feels really empowering for our main character. I loved seeing the journey that she went on. I do think there were a couple more like speculative pieces of this book that weren't totally fleshed out enough for me to give it 5 stars, but regardless, it was a solid new adult thriller, and I would highly recommend it. Also, great summer reading. I feel like if you're looking for a vacation book, a poolside book, this would be great. Next up, let's get into the books that I rated 4.5 out of 5 stars. These ones were almost to the top, but there was just one little thing that didn't give me the 5-star feeling. Let's start out with the other nonfiction book that I read in June. I gave 4.5 stars to All About Love by Bell Hooks. I talked about this a lot in my divorce video, which if you missed the whole breakdown of my divorce, it's an hour long, it's a deep dive. I tell you everything that I learned, and a lot of that is from this book. I will link that video up above and down below if you missed it. I also want to do an entire video just on this book because it affected me so deeply. It's all about what we learn about love, how we learn about love from our family of origin, what is unconditional love, why do we not understand unconditional love, and how to maintain a healthy relationship after you learn about your specific definition of love. There's a lot about attachment in here. There's a lot about feminism and misogyny in here. It just breaks down every single element of a love experience. I think this book is profound and every single person should read it. The one little itsy bitsy thing that keeps me from giving it 5 stars is it like jump scares you with a little bit of Christian ideology in the last couple chapters. Like the whole book is pretty open faith-based. Like she doesn't talk about Christianity directly when she talks about having a faith, but then at the end there's like some Bible stuff, and it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because if you're not Christian, you might not resonate with that. Parts of it I did resonate with, but parts of it, because I'm not super religious, I don't know, they just landed wrong with me. However, I will say this book is totally safe for queer people, women, people people of color. Obviously, Bell Hooks is a black woman. So it didn't feel hateful in any way. It was just a little Christian jump scare. And that is only for me personally, maybe. This is an amazing book and I highly recommend it. Just did want to let people know about that. Next up, I have an amazing thriller recommendation. Y'all, I read so many good thrillers in June, and that is Copycat by Alex Lake. Oh my god, this was the domestic thriller of my dreams. I read it so fast. I ate it up. In this book, we are following a woman and she is just perusing the internet one day and she finds out there's another Facebook profile with her name and her photo, and she's like, okay, somebody's catfishing. What the hell is this? And then she clicks on it and she realizes all the pictures on there are of her family, her kids, the things that she's done, bought, her house, whatever, but she didn't take them. And she's like, who took all these pictures? Who's cosplaying as me? Who's writing posts as me? Someone's clearly doing this for nefarious reasons. And this stalker ratchets their torment of her up and up and up and up and up over the course of the book. We are basically watching this woman fall apart at the seams as we try to figure out who is doing this to her and why. This twist in this book is so good. It is so good. I low-key predicted it probably at the like 70% mark, but I didn't even care because I loved it so much. It gets so dark and so crazy at the end. It literally goes off the rails in the best way. It is a psychological thriller. It has that trope of like, nobody believes the woman and we're like fighting for our main character, like, believe her, believe her. There's gaslighting, there's suburban paranoia. It takes place in Maine in the summer, so the atmosphere is just like gorgeous and wonderful. They also go on a family vacation to London at one point in the book, and that was gorgeous and wonderful atmosphere as well. The character that we are rooting for is really likable, just really easy to get on board with. I loved everything about this book. The only reason why I didn't get the 5-star feeling and give it 5 stars was because I did, like I said, predict the twist. I wasn't that annoyed with it because I still really enjoyed it, but I think if I didn't predict that twist, this would have been the easiest 5-star ever. I highly recommend it. And the last 4.5-star book that I read in the month of June is Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This is the last book in the Skyland trilogy. These are all really deep emotional romances, and I absolutely loved the second book. I read it last year and it was one of my best books of the year. This one is following Hendrix, and she and her little man that is her love interest in this book, they're both like self-made black business people. The guy is like a billionaire and she's like a millionaire. They both do like really well for themselves. It was like rich people to the extreme. And the guy has literally just gotten out of a relationship. The girl is kind of like her own woman. Like, she doesn't really need a relationship, so she's kind of cool chilling on her own, and no man is really gonna match her, or so she thinks, until she meets this man who's a literal billionaire. And she has some weird qualms about him. She's like, okay, he literally just got out of a relationship. Like, is he just trying to like wine and dine me and all these things because like I can do that for myself, like that type of vibe. But of course, we see their connection grow and grow and grow over the course of this book, and it was so freaking sweet. I think what Kennedy Ryan does the best in her romances is that we really see each character's individual development before we understand the relationship dynamic and watch the relationship grow. So it feels like two independent people that we really care deeply about, and then we care even more about the romance because we already have these individual relationships built with them. It was so satisfying to see them come together. It was such an example of like really sweet, healthy love that fights against codependency and values independence and success on an individual level. And let's be real, the smut in here was hot. Kennedy Ryan is so good at writing smut. I want her to write sex scenes for me to act out with my partner. Like, her mind, like, that's really all I have to say at the end of the day. She her mind. I worship at the altar of Kennedy Ryan. The only reason why I did not give it 5 stars, the one little takeaway for me, was that I think it was a bit too long. The chapters in here were really long. It was over 400 pages. And at some point I was like, okay, come on girl, like let's get through it. I do not need to sit in on this business meeting with this fuck ass man. Like let's get through and tell me the romance. So that was my only thing. Either way, highly recommend if you like emotional romance. And getting into my last couple books that I have to talk about, I do have a 4.75 star book. I know that feels indulgent and excessive, okay? Just go with me here. That book is The Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose. And I was really worried about this one. I mentioned it in a couple videos when I hauled this book and when I put it in my TBR. I was like, I think this book is a cash grab. Like, I've really not liked Geneva Rose books in the past. Pretty much everything that I've read since her initial release of The Perfect Marriage, I have not really loved. So I was super surprised that this was really, really good. This is the follow-up to The Perfect Marriage, the TikTok book talk sensation or whatever. And honestly, it's fire. We pick up 11 years after the end of that first book. There's more messiness, more drama for our attorney queen to handle. The twists in here were wild. It kept me from the first page locked in. Talk about unputdownable. Okay, that is this book. I did not want to leave it for a second. When I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about reading it. I was locked in. It's a little bit of good for her vibes, a lot of legal drama, and so much scandal. The unlikable characters in here are just so entertaining to read about. The only reason why I was annoying and gave it a 4.75 out of 5 stars is because I didn't get that like 5-star obsessed kind of feeling that I get with like my all-timers, like the book I'm about to talk about next. And I think I gave The Perfect Marriage 4.5 for a similar reason. It just didn't feel like memorable. In fact, I actually did have to go back and watch a recap video on The Perfect Marriage in order to remember everything that took place in that book before I started the sequel. And I think this is the same. While it was a really, really great reading experience and a nearly perfect thriller, I just think it's a little bit forgettable. I don't think it's something that's gonna stick with me forever. However, if you haven't read The Perfect Marriage and Perfect Divorce, speed run them back to back. You will be obsessed. It's so good. And finally, we have made it to the end where I get to talk about my favorite book of the month and probably one of my new favorite books of all time. This is the sole 5-star that I read over the course of my birthday month, and that is Kill for Love by Laura Picklesheimer. Oh my god, am I obsessed with this book. Talk about a 5-star feeling. Probably 25% into this book, I was like, I'm accepting it. This is my new personality. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. Kill for Love is my new thing. And that feeling carried me all the way through the end of the book. And when I finished it, I just had to like stare at the wall. This was a wall stare type of ending, okay? I was shook. This is dark, it is grisly, it is funny, it is camp, and it is a retelling of American Psycho if the main character was a bubbly little 20-year-old sorority girl. You heard that right. Our main character is a cute little sorority girl who's really just worried about going to the spa, going shopping, going to the frat house for a party, keeping her tan, keeping her bod in the gym, and talking shit about her sorority sisters until one night she kills a frat boy because he's an asshole and he gets on her nerves, and he very much deserves it, and she gets addicted to killing boys. From that moment on, she is not just like a good for her thriller type of main character where, you know, they kill like 3 men over the course of the book. No, no, no. She is a spree killer, a serial killer. She kills multiple people in one night. She kills dozens of men, and she basically becomes like the LA Ripper because it takes place in UCLA, and the California ambiance is also phenomenal throughout the entirety of this book. such a good summer read. But yeah, people are like on the hunt for the LA Ripper. They're like, who is this man taking out other men? Like, it's the new Jeffrey Dahmer. Little do they know, it's this cutesy little sorority girl. And we are following every little thought that enters her head over the course of her killing spree. The book quite literally blows up at the end. It's an insane ending. The character trajectory over the course of the book is phenomenal and engrossing and just such an interesting ride. I was obsessed with every like campy, funny element of this book. I just thought it was done so well. I'm obsessed with it. This is one of my best of the year. You can't pry it out of my cold, dead hands. I'm in love with Kill for Love. And with that, those are all the books that I read in June 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing all the books that I read, all of the reviews. Let me know down below if you liked any of these or you didn't like any, if you want to read any. Let me know what your favorite books of June were. Really just chat with me, okay? I want to chat down below. And don't forget to go down below and check out Squarespace. You can get 10% off your website when you are ready to launch with my link and my code. Also, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I make wrap-up videos at the end of every single month, so if you like this one, stay tuned for all the rest. And thank you so much again for hanging out and being here. I really appreciate when you guys watch my videos all the way to the end. Not only is it helpful for my channel, but I just appreciate you guys that are still around. So if you're still here, leave a little heart emoji in the comments. You guys are just the best ever. I'm really enjoying making videos lately. I just feel like a reinvigorated force for making videos. I think I said this a couple videos ago in a vlog or something, but yeah, I'm just really loving making videos right now. So I'm happy that you're here. And of course, don't forget to go to therapy and read a book this week, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!